At the beginning of the story, we see Casa del Toro in Spain, a place where bulls are trained for bullfighting. There we see a few little calves play fighting, and among them is Valiente, the toughest of the bunch, who dreams of becoming a strong, fearless bull, just like his father. But then we meet a black-colored calf named Ferdinand, sweet, gentle, and nothing like the others. While everyone else loves to fight, Ferdinand loves flowers, enjoying their scent and beauty, which makes him different. Just then, the winter truck drives in, and Valiente's eyes light up. Ferdinand asks curiously about the truck, and Valiente proudly replies that the matador is here to pick a bull for today's fight, adding that he will definitely choose his father, and one day when he is big and fierce, he will be chosen too. Another calf, Guapo, claims the matador will pick him instead, but Valiente smirks and mocks him for being scared of his own shadow. Then Bones, the skinny fast one, chimes in saying he will be picked because he is the quickest bull around, promising to beat the matador and become the champion. Bali snorts angrily and knocks Bones down, and when Ferdinand rushes to help him up, Bones snaps and tells the weakling to stay out of it. Valiente laughs and starts crushing Ferdinand's flower, but Ferdinand steps forward bravely, telling him he can hurt him if he wants, but begs him please not to hurt the flower. Just then, the grown bulls walk into the arena, including Valiente's father and Ferdinand's father, Raf. The matador watches closely to decide who will enter the ring, and a fierce battle begins between the two bulls. Both are strong and brave, but Raf wins the fight, and the matador chooses him. That evening, Raf gently tells Ferdinand that the matador chose him, explaining that every bull dreams of going into the ring and coming out a winner, so he shouldn't be sad because he will be back soon. Ferdinand whispers that he doesn't dream of fighting and doesn't like it, but Raf smiles and says that when he is older, his dreams will change, assuring him he will be stronger than him and become the champion. Ferdinand shakes his head, but Raf sighs and tells his son that in their world, bulls don't get to choose and must fight. Suddenly, the truck's horn honks. Raf nods, saying it's time to go, and promises to teach him all his secrets when he returns. Ferdinand watches his father leave, his heart heavy. Days pass, and every morning Ferdinand waits for Raf to return, until one day he hears the familiar horn of the winter truck. Excited, he runs to greet his dad, but Raf never comes back. Ferdinand realizes the truth, lowering his head with eyes full of tears, while Valiente's father sneers that Raf was weak and that's why he's gone. Those words break Ferdinand's heart, and he can't stay there anymore. So late at night, he makes a run for it, dodging chasing workers and jumping onto a moving train to escape. The train stops deep in the countryside. Raining, cold, lost, and scared, Ferdinand stumbles through the forest until he hears a dog barking, then slips into a ditch and faints. In the morning, he opens his eyes and sees a little girl, Nena, Juan's daughter. Startled, he steps back, but Nena smiles softly, tells him it's okay, promises to take care of him, and hands him a flower, welcoming him to his new home. Ferdinand sees the garden filled with beautiful flowers, and his eyes sparkle. And from that day on, they become inseparable, eating, playing, and napping side by side. Time flies, and Ferdinand grows huge, but inside, he's still the same gentle soul, singing and dancing with Nena, and having the best time together. One morning, Ferdinand wakes up extra happy because it's the day of the flower festival, but Juan stops Nena from taking him, explaining that he's not a little calf anymore, and people outside won't understand him. Nena pleads, saying he is so good, but Juan sighs and tells her that the world won't see his goodness, they'll only see his size. Sadly, Nena agrees for his safety, hugs Ferdinand, promises to bring him the prettiest bouquet, and leaves with her dog, Paco. Ferdinand sits under a tree, feeling lonely, but then smiles faintly and thinks Nena might need him, so he decides to go to the festival on his own. At the festival, people dance and celebrate, and suddenly, Nena spots Ferdinand in the crowd. Before she can reach him, Ferdinand trips into some clothes, loses his vision, and stumbles right onto a bee that stings him. In pain, Ferdinand goes wild, running, crashing into stalls, and scattering flowers everywhere. People scream in panic, shouting about a mad bull and calling animal control. And within moments, a team arrives, tranquilizes him, and loads him into a truck while Nena runs after it, crying his name. But it's too late. When Ferdinand wakes up, he's back at Casa del Toro. He tries breaking the cage, but it's no use, until a goat named Lupe enters, introducing herself as the calming coach for bulls. She grins and says they should make him a fighting machine, but Ferdinand groans and states that he doesn't want to fight. Lupe tries everything to cheer him up, but nothing works, and finally, she introduces him to the other bulls, who all gasp because Ferdinand has grown massive. Then, a familiar voice sneers as Valiente expresses disbelief that he ever came back. Ferdinand replies quietly that he didn't think so either, and when Valiente asks if he bulked up for revenge, Ferdinand shakes his head, clarifying that he just wants to go home. Valiente laughs and warns him that the ring will make him wish he'd stayed gone, then storms off. Later, Lupe gives Ferdinand a small toy flower that plays a tune to help him sleep, and that night, Ferdinand lies awake thinking of Nena. Suddenly, 3 hedgehogs sneak in to steal food. Startled, they freeze and beg him not to eat them, but Ferdinand smiles kindly, tells them to relax, and says he doesn't hurt anyone. They introduce themselves as Una, Dos, and Cuatro, and Ferdinand laughs and helps them gather food, beginning a friendship that will change everyone's life forever. Early in the morning, Ferdinand tries to escape, but electric fences block his way. Just then, a sleek red car pulls up and out steps El Primero, the most famous bullfighter in Spain, telling Moreno he is there to choose the best bull for the final match. Moreno nods eagerly and gathers all the bulls inside the training ring, where everyone charges and fights fiercely except Ferdinand, who stands calm and peaceful, refusing to hurt anyone. Meanwhile, Valiente and Guapo lock horns, and Valiente tells Guapo to look at El Primero. Guapo turns his head, and the moment he sees the matador's cold, sharp eyes, he freezes and faints right there in the ring. Ferdinand rushes over to help, but in the confusion, all the other bulls crash into him and fall, turning the whole thing into a mess. El Primero frowns angrily, muttering that a true bull needs strength and grace, and these bulls have neither, then shakes his head at Moreno's pleas, stating that his final fight is in 2 days and he needs a champion, not a disaster. Later, the workers load poor Guapo onto a truck headed for the slaughterhouse, and Guapo smiles proudly, not realizing the truth and believing he was picked because he was the best. Ferdinand watches, heartbroken, and blames Valiente, but Valiente snorts, telling him things have changed, and it's now simple. You're either special or you're meat. Ferdinand lowers his head, missing Nena deeply. While far away, Nena also misses him. That night, Ferdinand hears quiet sobs from Bones, who says sadly that Guapo was his best friend and couldn't control his fear, adding that if they don't want to end up like him, they'll have to fight. The next morning, all the bulls are training hard except Ferdinand, and Angus, the shaggy bull with long hair over his eyes, whispers that he can't see a thing, and that's why he'll never win. Ferdinand smiles and gently lifts Angus's hair with his tongue, and Angus blinks, suddenly seeing everything with joy and thanking him. Just then, Lupe walks in, telling Ferdinand to focus on his training and comparing bullfighting to a dance. But laughter erupts nearby as show horses mock them, asking if they even know what rhythm is. Ferdinand narrows his eyes, and a dance battle begins. Bulls versus horses, and by the end, the bulls win, cheering proudly. Ferdinand suggests that if they can beat them, they can escape, but the others shake their heads, saying no one ever gets out and people aren't kind. Still, Ferdinand convinces Lupe to join him, and when she points out the electric fences, Ferdinand wonders what if they had help, turning to the 3 hedgehogs. At first they refuse, but when Ferdinand hands them his musical toy flower, they agree to the deal, hatching a plan to sneak through the house past the workers and out the back gate. As they sneak through the hallways, Ferdinand freezes, seeing a horrifying sight on the wall. Rows of polished bull horns mounted like trophies, with his father's horns among them. He finally understands that no bull ever returns from the ring and turns to Lupe, his voice breaking, saying they have to go back because he can't let his friends end up on that wall. They rush back to the pen, and Ferdinand gathers all the bulls to show them the truth, warning them that if they stay, they die, but if they leave, they live. The others nod, ready to follow him, but not Valiente, who steps forward refusing to go and rejecting him as a leader. He charges, and the two bulls collide with a thunderous roar, facing off for pride versus freedom. Ferdinand didn't want to fight, but Valiente wouldn't back down, forcing the clash until Valiente's horn breaks right off. El Primero watches from the stands, smirking and declaring Ferdinand as the one he will fight tomorrow. And just like that, Ferdinand is chosen for the big fight, while Valiente is sent to the slaughterhouse. Ferdinand feels awful and makes a plan to rescue him. Máquina, the mechanical bull, breaks through the electric fences, while the others trap the arrogant horses in a stall. Ferdinand runs to the slaughterhouse and finds Valiente standing alone and broken, telling him to come on. But Valiente shakes his head, claiming he is useless with a broken horn. Ferdinand assures him firmly that he doesn't need horns to matter and will be free out there. And just then, they hear a faint voice. It's Guapo, who is still alive. Ferdinand runs toward him, but the cutting machine comes to life, its spinning blades roaring closer, until Valiente charges in and jams a metal rod into the gears to stop it. The three of them run for their lives, bursting through the exit and crashing into a truck outside, where the rest of the friends arrive overjoyed to see Guapo alive. The noise wakes up the entire ranch, and Ferdinand shouts that it's time to move, helping everyone onto the truck, while the hedgehogs take the driver's seat and tell them to hold on tight. The truck zooms forward, and Moreno's men jump into their vehicles to give chase, turning it into a wild, chaotic pursuit. They even ram Moreno's car, sending it spinning off the road. But soon, traffic brings them to a stop. Ferdinand and his friends leap out and run across the busy streets, dodging cars and racing through the city, leaving chaos behind until they reach the train station. Ferdinand yells for everyone to get on board and helps his friends climb onto the train. But just as he is about to jump in himself, Moreno's men grab him. Back home, Juan sees the news on TV, reporting that the captured escaped bull will fight El Primero tonight, and recognizing Ferdinand, he and Nena rush to the city to save him. Meanwhile, Ferdinand is taken into the grand arena, and the crowd roars as El Primero enters in his shining suit of gold. The gates open, and Ferdinand steps into the ring, standing tall, calm, and silent. El Primero waves his red cape, taunting him, but Ferdinand refuses to fight, which makes the matador angry. His men poke Ferdinand with sharp spears, forcing him to run in circles until the red cape gets tangled in his horn. And when El Primero reaches to grab it, Ferdinand accidentally tosses him high into the air. The crowd bursts into laughter and cheers, and though the fight turns wild, Ferdinand never attacks. While Juan and Nena arrive in the stands, searching desperate, El Primero, humiliated and furious, lunges again and again. But Ferdinand dodged every move until the matador strikes his leg with his sword, drawing blood. Ferdinand roars in pain and anger, lifting El Primero high above his head, ready to strike. But then he sees a simple red flower lying on the ground, just like the ones Nena used to give him. His expression softens as he remembers home and peace, and he gently sets El Primero down and sits on the ground. The crowd goes silent as Ferdinand lowers his head, showing the world that strength isn't about violence. El Primero grabs his sword again, ready to strike, but the people in the stands begin to chant for mercy, shouting louder and louder until the entire arena calls to let him live. El Primero freezes, then slowly drops his sword, and the crowd erupts into applause as Juan and Nena run into the ring to embrace Ferdinand with tears in his eyes. The audience cheers and covers Ferdinand in flower petals, and moments later, his friends run into the arena, safe and overjoyed. Even Moreno smiles and decides to let them all go, taking them back to Nena's farm where they truly belong. There, surrounded by love, peace, and flowers, Ferdinand finally found the life he'd always dreamed of, a life where even the biggest bull could have the gentlest heart.
And with that,
Our movie ends. Hope you liked the recap. If you reached the end, don't forget to leave a like on the video and write us a nice comment as you always do. And for those watching us for the first time, subscribe to the channel to see all the upcoming recaps. See you in the next movie. Peace.